So the champion in my life, the woman that taught me what it means to fight for equality, my best friend, one of the most amazing women to serve in the federal government, the woman I called Mom, passed away 4 days ago. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. To stand here and watch all of you, especially the young people, I feel my mom. My mom was a victim of the most horrendous sexual abuse from the time she was 5 to 9 years old by an older brother and farm boys in rural South Dakota. The abuse that happened to my mom damaged the organs inside her body. She was only able to carry 2 pregnancies. I was the second for her to carry almost full term, but she could only carry me to 7 months. I was born with a body that would never produce a child. And yet the greatest fight in my life is for equality and children to have equality, especially females, to get equality equal to their brethren. My mom lived with internal pain every time she menstruated. At 42, she had an emergency hysterectomy where she had to have 3 blood transfusions. The surgeon shared with us that when he lifted out her female organs, they fell between his fingers like wet tissue. Because of the miscarriages my mom had had in some states today, she may be considered a criminal because of the abuse that was done to her as a child.
Fuck that! Fuck that!
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. My mom taught me to fight. My mom also taught me the love of government. She taught me that my government was my neighbor. My government was my mom, the librarian, the school teacher, the firefighter, the legislator, the member of the Supreme Court, the person that picks up our trash. Our government is all around us because our government is of the people, by the people, for the people, we the people. My opponent says no abortions, no exceptions. And yet he just voted against funding emergency supplies of infant formula. When people ask me, how are you going to overcome an incumbent? I say it's not about his incumbency, the guy's lost before. You need to ask me how am I going to overcome his representation. His representation has not served Montana. So for the young people here, for the older people here who fought for this right for 50 years ago and every year since, for my mom. A dark day has returned to our country. The United States Supreme Court slammed its mighty gavel, declaring that all people were not created equal. A shadow has been cast over our Constitution and over all of humanity. The United States Supreme Court declared that neither freedom nor protection under the law are the rights to be held by females, LGBTQ2 Spirit Plus, by pregnant persons, by the poor, by persons of color, and by the disenfranchised. The United States Supreme Court declared that reproductive rights are only for one gender. This is a dark, dark day for all of humanity.
They failed us.
In 2017, when I was running for the Billings City Council, I was invited to attend a Yellowstone County Republican Women's Luncheon. I was the only Democrat running for office that accepted the invitation. Every seat in the large room was filled and more chairs were brought in. The guest presenter was an attorney from Helena who gave a 25-minute PowerPoint presentation on the national GOP strategy to overturn Roe v. Wade. This was 2017. The strategy included targeting middle and rural America and taking over PTA boards, school boards, city councils and commissions, county seats, elected law enforcement, and state governments. In doing this, the GOP would control the mentality and direction of voters, with the ultimate goal of controlling who would be appointing and confirming justices to the United States Supreme Court. The national GOP learned long ago that if they want to control the United States Supreme Court, they must control the local communities, because everything that happens in Washington, D.C. begins with votes at the local level. The Ted Cruz's, Marco Rubio's, yeah, no kidding. The Ted Cruz's, Marco Rubio's, Mitch McConnell's, and Matt Rosendale's don't get to Washington, D.C. because of votes in Washington, D.C. They get to Washington, D.C. because of votes in the communities in their states. Matt Rosendale gets to Washington, D.C. because of votes in Helena, Great Falls, Havre, Billings, Fort Benton, Glendive, Boulder, Fort Belknap, Broadus, Reed Point, Vaughan, Culbertson, Brockton, Sidney, and all around Congressional District 2. He gets to Washington, D.C. because of what we do or do not do in our own communities. The actions we take in our own communities at the local level is how we turn this tide. Let's be clear, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is not about only denying reproductive freedoms to females and pregnant persons. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is also about the unleashing of violence against vulnerable genders. And it is the opening attack on freedoms and rights others before us sacrificed to win. The greed for power and control will not end with female reproductive rights. They came for our reproductive rights, and they are coming for more. Columbine, Aurora, Newtown, Oak Creek, Charlotte, Orlando, Parkland, Buffalo, Uvalde, and so many more. We have not come for their guns, but they are coming for our bodies. They are coming for our right to love. They are coming for our food source. They are coming after our health care. They are coming after our right to earn a living wage. They are coming after our ability to buy a house. They are coming after our language and how society defines the words patriot, freedom, and affordable. They are coming after our flag. They are coming after the rights those that came before us fought and sacrificed to win in their lives and for us. They are coming. The question is, are we willing to fight back? Are we willing to rise up together? Are we willing to organize and unify behind a common vision? The time is now, Montanans. People are hurting in our state and in our country. Rural communities are experiencing drought and poverty. The people who grow our food don't have enough money for food for their own tables. Republican extremists have not been this vulnerable in several years. We have not had a congressional incumbent with this much opposition, even from his own party. The time is now, Montanans, to rise up and get involved in every Democratic campaign you can. Make donations. Volunteer. There shouldn't be one Democratic candidate without a list of volunteers to call upon or the need to beg for donations. The torch has been passed to us, and we all need to get into this fight. Our state constitution, our public education, our family farms and ranches, our very bodies are on the line. The future of our country will be determined by our actions. Today, let us commit to one another. Let us commit to our children. Let us commit to the future of our state and the future of our country. Today, let us take the torch and run for our freedom and our right to love who we choose. Our freedom and right to control our own reproductive health. Our freedom and right to farm our farms. Our freedom and right to earn a living wage. Our freedom and right to build equity. Our freedom and right to an education that is affordable, or thankfully higher education that is free. And so much more. Montanans, today let us commit to the future of our democracy. Vote Democrat.